Hey guys, Sandy here, and I am super excited to be sharing with you a layout today with some Spiegelmom Scraps sequins. Now I have two of the April mixes. One is Sierra Nevada and one is Crushing It. So I am really excited to be using these colors. I am going to be scrapbooking some cacti photos from Phoenix. I actually have this Just Be You paper from Echo Park that has a bunch of cacti on the back of it. Now, I am not using the cacti paper for my cactus photos. You might be thinking that that's a little bit whack, but let's see what I can do. Okay, so I went and picked out some cardstock colors, and this is just a dark green cardstock. And I grabbed some white cardstock as well because I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do this. Now, at first, I decided that instead of doing the cactus as my first cut, what I really needed to do was the planter so that I knew how big the cactus had to be. So I got this great idea, or I thought it was a great idea at least, to use these 4x6 cards, cut apart cards, as the planter base. So I just kind of figured out where I wanted it to end. So I used my grid mat and I just went down just a little bit, and then I went in an inch on the bottom. So I then took my cut-a-line tools and then just used the ruler portion to draw a straight line from my marks. And then instead of using the cut-a-line on this, I just went ahead and used my scissors. I do use my cut-a-line to make the actual shaker box though. So this goes back to when shaker boxes had really started to be all the rage. Now I remember when I made shaker boxes the first time, I was a Creative Memories consultant and I used Creative Memories products, but I did not use Creative Memories pages, and I didn't like wallpaper my page. What I did was I used page protectors that would fit in the Creative Memories strap hinge albums, and I hosted a workshop with another consultant once, and I taught people how to make shaker boxes, and we had two very different groups of women at this workshop. One thought that shaker boxes were awesome and they bought everything to make them, and then the other people were abhorred and appalled. Like they were just, I cannot believe that you would put something like this inside of a scrapbook album. Like it was interesting to say the least. So there is that. Now to make the actual shaker box out of the planter, I used my ruler to just measure around the inside so that I would have an equal amount of spacing. And then I just used my cut-a-line tool to go ahead and cut those lines out. I am using a Making Memories setting mat for eyelets from way back in the day, and my good old trusty pin blade. So I go ahead and cut those out, and it fits great on top of the planter. So I have that going on. Now I'm going to use my planter box, or my flower pot, I guess it really is. Maybe not necessarily a planter box, to kind of figure out how big my cactus is going to be. And then I thought, you know what? I really need to put this on the paper to see how big this is going to be and where this is going to land, because otherwise I might have a cactus that's too big, I might have one that's too small. And then I get the bright idea that I'm not going to use the green cardstock at first. I decide I'm just going to do it on this white cardstock because this is a 12 by 12 sheet and I know like what the size is going to be. So I just sketch out kind of the big bulbous cactus, and I'm just trying to get okay with that. And I knew I was going to put a flower up at the top. I didn't have an actual cactus flower, but I knew that I was going to put it up there, so I kind of wanted to figure out what that was going to look like. Now I go ahead and take my cactus and I fold it in half, and then I'm just going to cut it around so that the cactus is symmetrical, because I don't want it to be a lopsided cactus. Now, cactus are very lopsided in real life, but or sometimes they are. We had a little cactus that was, kind of lopsided. But, it just is what it is. So I use this as a pattern on top of my green cardstock, and I have both sheets of green cardstock there. I just trace around the outside of this with my pencil just to give me some good lines. Oh, now I put both pieces of cardstock down. And I just use my scissors to go over these lines. I'm not too particular about how even this cactus is. I mean, it's a cactus, right? Like, it's not going to be, even though I want it to be symmetrical, it's not going to be perfect. And that's okay, because it's a plant, and, things are in nature and they aren't perfect, and, just whatever it is. So next I'm going to use my pencil to kind of sketch around the inside of the cactus. So my planter is definitely on point. It is measured. It is symmetrical. Like, everything is correct. And for this bad boy, it is not going to be that way. And I'm okay with that. The planter is man-made and the cactus is not. So we're good with that. I go ahead and do like a burst hole through the center of the cactus, and then I'm just going to use my scissors and cut around the pencil line. And I am using scissors because I feel like I can do a better job with a pair of scissors when I have to cut something that is curved rather than with a craft knife. I feel like I do better with craft knives when I'm cutting straight, but curves, I need my scissors, and I need a pair of scissors that feel good in my hands. I have a couple of pair of those scissors, and this time I am using my green handled sparkly scissors that my husband bought for me after he watched one of my videos one time and heard that I wanted a pair of them. So yeah, just a little shout out to him because he's pretty amazing. So now I have my cactus ready to go. It needs its flower. I know that this is not a true cactus flower, you guys. It's a rose and some other florals. I know it's not a true cactus flower, but the color is a good color match for what I have going on in the layout, and that means it's good enough for me. So I'm taking a page protector, and these are not like my good page protectors because I buy two different kinds. I buy the We Are Memory Keepers off of Amazon when they have a good deal, and I also buy the Scrapbook.com page protectors. I really think they're probably manufactured by the same people. I should probably stop putting away things while I'm doing this voiceover because you're probably hearing the plastic, but just think of it as like enhanced video because I was just playing with a page protector. I take a pen that is a permanent pen on plastic. It's a photo pen, and I just trace the outline of the cactus, and I just use my scissors to follow along that pen line, and that is going to give me the window for my shaker box. So I just make sure that it's going to fit there, and I didn't make any wonky cuts or lines, and I did not. Thank you, thank you. I am taking my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I am going all the way around the cactus. Now I am making sure to have a complete bead of this adhesive all the way around the cactus, so where I have parts that kind of didn't, and like the glue didn't come out smoothly, I just go ahead and add a little bit more glue, push down my plastic piece, and that flattens out the glue ever so slightly. And then that is all I'm going to do with that piece right there. So I just make sure everything is still lining up, and I didn't put the plastic on the wrong side of the cactus because that would have sucked. Now I have these little guys right here. These are long foam rectangles. They're like just long foam rectangles. These are from Tailored Expressions, and they are, I feel, a little bit longer than the Doris ones. And I think that they might be a little bit taller than the Doris ones as well. But there are a couple different companies that make these long, thin ones. The ones that I enjoy and like to use are from Tailored Expressions and from Doris. So those are those. Now I could have just used foam squares and went all the way around if I wanted to, but I figured this was a little bit better. Now I decided to reinforce the top of the cactus, and I'm not really sure why I only decided to reinforce the top right there, but everything else felt sturdy enough. It just felt like the top needed a little bit extra. So what I decide to do is I peel off just about all the way around the cactus, and then I have a little bit of an opening so that I can get my sequins down inside there. So I pull out my sequins, and I'm actually going to put my anti-static powder bag inside the sequin mix bag, and that's just going to get rid of some of the static that is in there that keeps the sequins sticking to the plastic bag and also to the paper. It doesn't get rid of all the static. As you can see, there's still like 1 or 2 sequins still tucked in there. And then I decided I need a few more sequins, so I pull out Signs of Spring, and then I'm going through the rest of my sequin stash, just trying to figure out if I want to use any other ones. I decide no, I'm just going to use Signs of Spring, so I dump some of those in there, and then I'm like, yep, that's going to work beautifully. Oh, look at that. This is a huge, huge shaker box, you guys, like a huge, huge one. And I love it. So now I've got the cactus shaker box portion done, and now I'm going to add my floral up there just because I think it looks super cute up there. You know, because these little dome cactuses, they need a little flower. They need a little accessory. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing with my planter box or my flower pot or whatever you want to call it. I use that photo signature pen one more time. Now this is a pen that is not going to rub off of my page protector, so I don't have to worry about that. I can just go ahead and cut it out super easily. So I make that, and then this time I'm going to use ATG as my adhesive instead of the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and I just run it all the way around the edge and pop down the page protector, and I just push it down so that it adheres to the ATG. So that was the inside of the planter box. Now I'm going to use these little straight little guys again. I love how that one just fit perfectly across there. Now I am making sure that all of my foam where it meets up, there's no gaps, so that like the sequins aren't going to be able to go through. Now, when I used to make shaker boxes, I used to make them with teeny tiny little seed beads, and you really had to make sure that your joints where your foam met up had no gaps, or those little suckers would squeeze right out of any kind of gap. So I'm doing the same thing here, where I peel off 3 sides, and then the 4th side is just left open for me so that I can dump the sequins in. And I go ahead and I dump a good bit of sequins in. And you can see I didn't do the anti-static powder tool trick to this one, so you can see how many sequins were still left in the bag. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive down, and then go ahead and get my little shakers adhered down to my page. And I am loving this, you guys. Like seriously, this project makes me so happy. I know that this isn't anything like that's amazingly earth-shattering to do with sequins, but sometimes you gotta use a couple whole packages on your page because the sparkle is amazing and the fun is amazing, and you just look at it and it makes you happy. So this is one of those pages where I just look at it and I'm happy. So I am messing around with this a little bit because I want it to be like on a good angle. I want it to be a good fit on the page. And then, you know, originally I was going to do one 4x6 landscape photo and take these 4x6 portrait photos and trim them down to 3x4. But instead I've decided to make my shaker cactus absolutely huge, so I didn't have that much room for a lot of photos. So I just decided to go with one photo, and that's going to be the landscape photo. I trim out 2 of these little cut apart things. One is the camera and one is the ampersand. and I do use them, but I change them up a little bit. I think I use them both, maybe. I don't know. I cut out the camera, and I don't remember if I used the ampersand or not. I guess we'll figure that out in a minute, huh? No, I don't. I flip it over. I remember what I do now. While I was doing this, I was like, man, I am doing this two little things on together, overlapped on a little jaunty angle, like a whole bunch lately, so I wanted to do something different. Now I am trimming down my 4x6 photo to 3 3/4 by 5 3/4, and what that is going to do is allow me to use one of these 4x6 cut apart cards on the paper to use as a photo mat. Because I'm not going to use the saying, and I liked the green color, so that's just giving me the little bit of the green around the photo. I am actually going to tuck my photo underneath of the cactus, and then I am fussy cutting out this camera. It's basically a square, guys. Like it's nothing to fussy cut this bad boy out. And I just go ahead and do that. And then I decide that I'm going to make this little square into a banner. And I know you can just fold your little piece of paper in half and trim it, and you've got an automatic fishtail banner. But for some reason, there's like a mental block there, and it's easier for me to mark off the center and trim this way. I don't know why, but it is. So that's what I am doing. I place my camera over top of my little banner, and because my two patterns here are so similar in size, like these little, like the dots and the long dots, I decided to take my pen. At first I grabbed my pencil and didn't realize it. I decided to take my pen and just write some doodly lines on that banner. And I'm sorry for the little flashes. One of my lights is dying. Thought it was the bulb, wasn't the bulb. Thought it was the outlet, wasn't the outlet. Yeah, it's the actual light that is dying. So it has been removed from my room, taken apart, and now I need to purchase new lights. So sorry about the lights going on and off during this. Now I just decided to put on these two little black letter stickers because we are in Arizona, if you couldn't tell by these beautiful cacti. And then I am actually going to make my title as Cacti Love. And instead of love, I'm just putting some hearts on there. I do not have any eyes, so I decide to go ahead and take the F and cut the little lines off of that to give me an eye. Now I am pulling out my thickers, and these are the Refresh thickers. They match one of the one canoe two lines. I don't know which ones. So I'm just going to put two little hearts down because it has that like that coppery rosy gold color that is up there in that floral flower. Well, right there. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to head over to the Spiegelmom's Scraps shop so you can get your hands on some sequins. Remember to use my code Sandy15. That'll get you 15% off your order. I will see you guys again real soon for another video.